Hello and welcome back to another Writerly Witterings with me, Michael Jex, the tea drinking author, and a lovely cup of tea. So, I've had a thoroughly busy week. I've been working my stupid bits off, trying to get an edit done. I've got to work this book down by another 15,000 words. I'll get there. And then I've got to submit it because this is going to go live early in the new year, which is nice, but I've got one hell of a work schedule, which is making life a little bit challenging right now. So I thought today, because basically it involves very little effort, very little thought, and not a huge amount of work, I thought I'd record something that I've been thinking about doing for some time. First of all, yes, it's the old thing, you know what I'm going to say. Oh, could you hit the like button, please, and subscribe and hit the alert bell and all that stuff. Okay, that's out the way. Right. Now, I'm sorry if that was deafening. I've got lots of paper here because the main thing I'm talking about today is the fact that, yeah, I'm a thief. I'm a crook. I'm a criminal. I've never been indicted, never been arrested, but yes, I'm a thief. What am I talking about? Well, every year I go away with the Smithsonian. I'm one of their resident experts, and I talk about crime writing, and everything to do with it. So I talk about all the authors I've known. I talk about Agatha Christie as well. I talk about Dorothy L. Sayers. I talk about the Detection Club because I'm the honorary secretary of the Detection Club. I talk about Dick and Felix Francis. I talk about Colin Dexter and all the other writers I've met and known over the years. And it's great fun. And generally the reception from the people on the Smithsonian tours, which is Mystery Lovers England, really enjoy it. We have a great time. We have a week away going from Torquay at one hotel, and then we go up to the Cotswolds or to Cheltenham and stay in another hotel there. And then we go into London and stay in another hotel. All of these places are really rather delightful and prestigious. So it's jolly good fun. And you know, there's things you get. You go into a hotel and they will have a really nice set of bubble bath or shower gel or shampoo or something. And I have to admit, on occasion, I have taken them. It's basically on the principle that if you have a bar of soap, let us say, I like ordinary bars of soap rather than having silly shower gels and stuff because they leave me feeling greasy. But a bar of soap, you feel clean after you've had a shower. So I like these bars of soap. And something that's always fascinated me is you get a bar of soap, it can be about that size, not huge, and you stay in a hotel for 2 nights, and you have a shower, and you wash your hands, and you do all those things a few times, and the bar of soap at the end of those couple of nights is still roughly the same size. So I will stick it in the plastic bag, and I'll take it back home with me, and I use it in the shower till it's used up. Because let's be realistic, what are you going to do with it as a hotel manager? Are you going to say to your cleaners, "Oh, collect up all those bits of old bath soap, and we'll put them in a new bath soap press and stamp out a brand new tablet"? Or maybe they say, "Don't worry, just leave that bar of soap. I'm sure the next guest will want to use it." Well, no, they're not. What they're going to do is, I strongly suspect, throw it away. In the same way, you get a little pot of shower gel. Well, if you use some, what are they going to do? Top it up from a bigger pot? Quite possibly, I suppose. But I think with a five-star hotel, what they're more likely to do is throw it away. Maybe give it to the staff. I mean, they probably don't pay their staff very much, so it's probably not a bad idea. I hadn't thought of that. But even so, there's another thing which hotels always do, and that is they assume that you're a forgetful twit and basically you need help remembering what your name is. So you need to have some means of writing down your name or your room number or something. And so they will give you little notebooks. And you, being an honest, decent person, of course, will only use it for an occasional note and then you'll use that note and leave the rest of the notepad there. Which is why you sometimes go to hotels and discover that there is one sheet or two sheets left in the notebook, which isn't terribly useful. So I thought, well, I have thought for many years that whenever I go to a hotel, I'm going to steal that notebook because they're fun, they're interesting. So I've got one here from Durrance Hotels, which is nice looking paper. I've got one from the Queen's Hotel in Cheltenham. Very nice. I've also got ones from, ones plural, no, singular, one from the Bloomsbury Hotel. As you can tell, rather swish. It even comes with its own cover. And I thought it would be quite fun just to see what the quality of the paper was like. So what I did was, I got some paper that I know isn't particularly good, and I got 3 pens. And I got some paper that is superb. And I thought I'd compare them all. So, I've got a nice Pilot. Now this has, I think, a fairly fine nib. It's got Iroshizuku Yu-Yake ink in it, which is not an ink I use very much. It's okay, but I wouldn't go further than that. And the pen being a sort of golden orange colour seems to suit Yu-Yake quite well. I also have my little Conway Stewart Indiana Jones, which I just adore. It's a Model 58 style. It's very light. It's very convenient. It's very easy to just keep this in the pocket all the time. And this is full of Mont Blanc's Grey, which is a nice ink. I like it. I don't like it quite as much as, say, Conway Stewart's Earl Grey, but it's a good colour. It's not bad. Slight reddish overtones, and depending on the paper, looks really nice. And then finally, feast your peepers on this. This is the last time I'll be showing the new Conway Stewart Detection Club pen, which has all the names of the presidents and all the names of the first members, which is much heavier. It's a slightly larger size than the Model 58, and it is absolutely glorious to use. I really love this, but it's the last video because I can't afford to buy one. They're not very cheap, and this has to go to the Detection Club because it's the prototype pen for the Detection Club pen, and so this is going back in the club archives. It's going to be missed. And this has Ackermann's Delft's Blauw, which is one of my favourite inks of all. I just love Delft's Blauw. So, what did I do? Well, first of all, I used this, Field Notes, because, to be absolutely frank, this notebook just happened to be on my desk and I thought, oh yeah, I could compare it with that. And what's interesting is the Conway Stewart with Mont Blanc Grey works quite well. So does the Delft's Blauw. So does the Pilot with Iroshizuku. And let's have a look at the other side, because I always find that a lot of my pens will bleed through appallingly badly. What I was surprised at was there's very little. There is a bit of ghosting coming through on the Mont Blanc in the Conway Stewart 58, but that really is about it. Just a little bit of ghosting. Now this paper I don't find terribly good generally when I'm using a fountain pen, especially a wet writer. But all of these are wet writers, so I was pleasantly surprised that this particular Field Notes paper seems to be working quite well. There is, as far as I can tell, with my eyesight I now have to resort to a magnifying glass almost invariably, there is a little bit of feathering, I was going to say, but I'm not sure there is actually. No, all of them work well. The only one is the Mont Blanc Grey has got very slight feathering on a couple of places. The interesting thing I should say is that the Conway Stewart 58 has a broad nib, the Detection Club is a medium nib, and I think the Pilot is a fine nib. But there are lots of variables. There are how much ink flow there is pushing out through the nib. There is the other variable, which is the size of the nib. And then there's another variable, which is the type of ink used and whether that is prone to feathering. Interesting, you see. Now, the second thing I thought I would do was look at some William Hanna paper, because, as you'll know if you watch my videos, I think it's about the best paper on the planet. It is heavy-duty stuff, and it gives really good colour representation. So you can see Conway Stewart 58 Mont Blanc Grey, you can see Detection Club with Delta Blau, and then Yuyake with the Pilot. Absolutely no feathering, no naughtiness whatsoever with any of these. This paper really is absolutely superb, and it's bulletproof. Nothing goes through. There is no ghosting. There is nothing at all. If you can see anything, it's because I'm holding this up to the light, and so there's light shining through the paper. But there is no impact on that whatsoever. Absolutely glorious paper. So then, now I haven't looked at any of these before. I've written them very quickly, done nothing with them. This is one I found from some years ago, Durrance Hotel. I can't even remember which hotel it was where I stole this. I think it was a little hotel in the Cotswolds. And it's nice paper. It feels robust. It feels better than 80 GSM. I don't know that it is, but it feels very nice. And it's perfectly acceptable when you look at the writing. There is no problem with the writing. There's no feathering or anything else. The only thing I found with this was, and you can see with Conway Stewart, the C, was that it really didn't want to start writing. It was less of an issue with the Pilot and the Detection Club, but all the time writing with that Conway Stewart nib, it was a bit reluctant to put ink down on the paper. So I think there might be some sort of a coating on this paper which makes it a little more resilient to fountain pens. Someone's just arrived. They're going to knock on the door, or more likely go next door and leave us alone. Now, the interesting thing with this was, having just looked at the back, with the Mont Blanc on the Conway Stewart, no problem, just a little bit of ghosting, but it is very faint, not a problem. But then on the Detection Club pen, as you can see, quite a lot of bleed through. Not very good. And with the Pilot, with Yuyake, there's actually even more. It may not show up so well on the, yes, that's better. You can see here lots of little dots coming through where the Yuyake was written. So if you're staying at a Durrance hotel, I'd recommend you don't bother stealing their notebook if you're a fountain pen user. That one's a fail. Now, next we have the Queen's Hotel in Cheltenham. And I have to admit, it's a lovely hotel. I was very impressed. So again, we have really nice paper. It feels jolly good, he says, tearing it off. Feels nice and robust. Actually feels remarkably similar to the Durrance, although I would say it feels just slightly heavier duty. Let's see, is there any feathering? a little bit with the Mont Blanc Grey. Nothing much on the Yuyake. And nothing much on the Delft Blau. But on the Mont Blanc Grey, I deliberately used shading inks because that way you get pools of ink in one place which dries a bit more slowly, and that's where you're likely to get feathering. And with this, there are, I don't know if this will show up again, but if you look at MB Grey, where the darker patches are, there's just slight little pinpricks of feathering there. Very hard to see, never mind. But the big question, of course, is, and I've just cheated and had a look, how does it look on the reverse? I'm going to hold this up with a white background so you can see that this isn't light coming through, because that strikes me as a good idea. Now, there is just a slight amount of ghosting. I can see ghosting on the Mont Blanc. I can see quite a bit of ghosting on the Yuyake. In fact, I can see ghosting on all of it. Not terrible ghosting, but it does exist. What's more interesting is that, again, the Yuyake in particular wants to come through with little spots. I think you might be able to see them here, and here, and here. A little bit with the Delft Blau, there's a little bit there. The Mont Blanc, a bit. What I should have done was loaded up some really good black ink, I think, and tested that as well. But overall, I would say, first off, that's a really nice form factor for sticking in your pocket or somewhere, whereas the Durrance Hotel, it's not quite as good being square. But yes, I would say if you're going to one of these hotels, the Queen's is the one that I would steal rather than the Durrance. Better quality, feels it too. It's just really nice. And then finally, what have we got here? We've got the Bloomsbury. This is the last hotel I went to recently. We stayed there in London a couple of times in October. And look at that. This paper feels, I mean, first of all, the cover makes it feel prestigious. I must admit, if you ever want to go to stay in a hotel in London, I would thoroughly recommend the Bloomsbury. It's really central in London. It's very good for theatre districts. It's good for everything. And it's a wonderful hotel to stay in. I was hugely impressed with the staff and everything. Very, very nice. So here we go, Bloomsbury Hotel. Now, again, feels good quality. Out of all, I would say it feels the heavier duty of all of them. Really good quality. All of the pens wrote very well. Let's have a look at feathering and so on. And you can tell with all of these the amount of effort I've got to go to try to find out if there's any feathering. There is a little bit of feathering with the Delft Blau. But is it feathering? Now the difficulty I've got is my eyesight is so bad because of the diabetic damage that it's hard to tell. It may well be that it's not feathering, it's just that the surface of the paper is a little rougher. Either way, if there is feathering, I've had to look so damn close that it really isn't a problem. So, feels lovely. The reproduction, and then let's just, again, put a board behind it. Absolutely no bleed through, no ghosting, nothing whatsoever. Yeah, you can see there, I take the backing away and then there's light shining through the back which makes it look as though there's some ghosting if you hold the paper up to the light like that, but you're just looking through the paper then. There is no ghosting, there's no problem whatsoever. Absolutely wonderful. And although the form factor is slightly larger than the Queen's, for one thing, that means you can get more notes on the page. Basically the same as the Durrants, but taller. But I would say that's just about the perfect notebook. It's not too thick to fit in a suit pocket easily. Very good size for writing on. The paper is stunning and no real problem. Now, a couple of other quick points. First of all, color reproduction on these things. Now, what's interesting is you'll see that the Durrants and the Queens are both, you may not be able to tell this from here, but I can tell you from looking at them, the Queen's is the most white. There's a very slightly off-white tint, and the Bloomsbury has definitely got a sort of parchment-ish colour to it. Now that may influence some people when they're thinking about stealing these notebooks. In terms of the reproduction of colour of the inks, it is curious that the Durrants Hotel, I think, makes the Iroshizuku look like a finer nib than the other two do, but it's a very minor thing. The colour reproduction, it actually means that the grey shows some of the undertones. So I would say that the grey on the Bloomsbury looks lighter and slightly more bluish in tint. On the Queen's, it looks darker to me. So it's peculiar the way that the colours work. Of course, the best comparison is going to be with my favourite paper, the William Hanna. And the William Hanna is quite a good white, slightly parchment yellowish, I guess, background to it, but each of those inks works superbly on that. What else can I say about them? Well, I would say these two win out for one reason compared to this, and that is that the Durrants has no card backing to it. It's all straight into the paper, whichever side you go. Whereas the Queen's, nice bit of card, and the Bloomsbury, not just a nice little bit of card on the back, but also on the front. So you can keep each page pristine and superb. And there, I think I will leave it. Got to edit this, get it uploaded, walk two dogs, and then crack on with my edits. But seriously, I think that hotels, especially good quality, 5-star, 4-star, whatever, they have a reputation they want to maintain. If you go into a really good quality hotel, it's nice to see something like these. They're nice. They feel prestigious. They look good. But how much better is it to see something like that? Not only that, you got two of these in each room, which I thought was really good. And do you know what? I stayed twice. That means I had access to 4 of them, but I was good. I only stole 2, one for each visit. But for my money, definitely the Bloomsbury Hotel, fabulous hotel, and definitely had the very best notebooks. Second best for me, the Queen's. Really convenient pocket-sized notebook. And it has to be said, the hotel's beautiful too. Really, really nice place. I was thoroughly impressed. And Cheltenham is a beautiful city. So if you've never been to Cheltenham, I would book the Queen's. If you've never been to London, I would definitely strongly recommend the Bloomsbury. They are not going to be the cheapest hotels, but then they're not Great Western. They are really prestigious, lovely hotels. And of course, if you're really keen, the best way to visit them is to go with Smithsonian Journeys and the the Mystery Lovers England tour with me, because then you get to meet me as well. And what on earth could be better than that? Now, I would love to put up a video of dogs, but I haven't had a chance to record anything this week because I'm just too flaming busy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit this now. I'm going to put this up. It'll be live this afternoon, unless I really screw up on the scheduling system on YouTube, and then crack on. Thanks a lot for watching. If you enjoyed this, don't forget there's a like and there's a subscribe and there's an alert bell. And apart from that, keep fit, keep healthy, and I'll speak to you soon. Take care.